This is where my car was parked last night. Good thing I moved it, huh? Lucky me. That would have been an interesting phone conversation. Hello, Acura. Had a little mishap with your SUV. Seems a twig fell on the roof and it needs a bit of touch-up paint. We're at our garage and test facility. Let's see what we're rolling out today. It's the 2019 Acura RDX SH-AWD A-SPEC SUV. And I said all that without stuttering. I think this is a nice looking vehicle, especially with this blue paint. But Acura doesn't want me to call this blue. They have a special name for it, as all manufacturers do with their paint colors. There you go, Apex Blue Pearl. And here's our view from the rear, with the proper emblems so everybody will know what you're driving. The base price of an RDX runs $38,000 for two-wheel drive. Another $2,000 for all-wheel drive. This was top of the line, loaded with everything. There's your price. The previous RDX had a 3.5 liter V6 engine putting out 279 horsepower. It's been replaced with a little 2 liter turbo putting out 272 horsepower. Torque has increased from 252 foot-pounds to 280. Claim fuel economy is 21 city, 26 highway with 23 overall. That's with premium fuel. According to the owner's manual, you can use standard unleaded instead of premium, but naturally you might lose a bit of horsepower there. We'll be looking to get maximum performance out of this power plant, so naturally we'll be using premium fuel for the test. This is an excellent high-tech, high-revving engine typical of a Honda product. Very nice motor. More suitable in a lightweight sports car than a 2-ton SUV, I would say, but we'll try it out and see how this works. It's hooked to a 10-speed automatic transmission, and I love these shift buttons. No more stick getting in the way. Very easy to use, a great design. Would like to see this on more vehicles. For those who like to shift for themselves, you do get paddle shifters. They're located on the steering wheel where they belong, which means they're always at your fingertips regardless of the wheel position, going straight, slight turns, big turns, always within reach, which is why they belong on the steering wheel, not the steering column back here like the Italians do for some reason. The gauge cluster is well designed, provides lots of useful information. Here are your steering wheel controls. This car does have the start-stop that deactivates the engine at a stoplight to save fuel. You can turn that off by pressing this button, as I always do. The climate controls are very easy to use. A decent-sized glove box with adequate room. So let's raise the rear hatch and take a peek inside. Acura says there's more storage room in the back this year. If my memory serves me correct, it was 27 cubic feet for the previous model and 30 for this. Looks big enough to me, and of course the second row seats do fold down for more room. More storage underneath the panel. Also a tire repair kit. One thing that is conspicuously absent is a spare tire. And I looked all over trying to find one. There appears to be a space underneath, if you had one. I found this rather troublesome because after all this is an SUV, and SUVs are designed to go off pavement. That's why you have all this high ground clearance underneath here. Even more off-roadability if you have all-wheel drive, as we do here. Says so right here. But going out of town in the sticks without a spare tire can be disastrous if you have a cut sidewall on your tire. That little tire repair kit in the back just won't cut it. You need a spare tire. I contacted Acura about the tire situation. They emailed me back. The good news is All 2019 RDXs will come with a spare tire, except for the top of the line spec models, as I'm testing here. The spec model is considered their top of the line performance version. They got rid of the tire to save weight and increase the balance and cornering. So if you get one of these, you have to make arrangements with the dealer after purchase to get your spare tire. No big deal. So the bottom line is, if you're going to take this vehicle off-road, do yourself a favor and get a spare tire. Save you a lot of headaches down the road. Like most high-end vehicles, we get a fancy infotainment system. This one operates off of a touchpad, but it's different from others you might have used. Instead of running your fingers trying to find a certain subject, you have 4 little menus. It takes you right to what you're looking for. There's also a submenu on the right, as seen here, where we have the navigation hooked up next to the radio. There's also an app button on the steering wheel. Lets you pull up different items. I'm not going to spend too much time showing you this because there's a long learning curve which can result in a long video. We're not going to do that. Basically, there's 2 types of people watching this video: the high-tech guys that love this touchpad stuff and those that don't. I suggest you either get on Google or contact Acura if you want a more detailed demonstration of how the system works. And when you go to the dealer and test drive the car, you might want to test drive the system too and see if it works for you. Gotta get rid of this dust. Here's that stupid bird that follows me all over town, messing up my videos with this chirping. Go away! Shoo! And another reason I didn't want to spend too much time on the infotainment touch system is because we came here to do driving, not review high-tech stuff. And for the rest of the video, that's exactly what we're going to do. Performance and fuel economy figures from now on. Before you do any driving, you need to pay attention to the dynamic mode knob. Gives you Sport Plus, Sport, Comfort, Snow. Take your pick. There's been a lot of nonsense on the web about the 0 to 60 time of this vehicle. Car and Driver said it was something like 5.6 seconds, which is total nonsense. You need an extra 75 to 100 horsepower to do that. Then we have some other people who said it was more like 8 seconds, which is ridiculous. It's faster than that. My times have been around 6.8 to 7 seconds, which is pretty good considering the outside temperature of 110 degrees. Although today it's slightly cooler at 95. So let's put it in Sport Plus. Takes about a half second for the engine to respond, and once it does, the baby really moves. Nice brakes. This is the quickest and most responsive power steering system I've ever used on an SUV. Actually quicker than many sports cars. Maybe a bit too much for the typical soccer mom, but if you like to drive fast, you won't be complaining. So let's take it on the turning circle. Lots of traction here. More like a sports sedan than an SUV. The all-wheel drive certainly helps. Acura specifies that you run 36 pounds of air in all 4 tires. This results in excellent handling, but it also gives you a rather firm ride, at least firmer than I would like, even when I set the suspension in the comfort mode on the computer screen. If this was my personal vehicle, I would lower the pressures down to around 30 to 32 pounds for daily commuting, but we test the factory specs, so we're going to leave it at 36 pounds for the duration of this video. As we do in all of our videos, we're going to do the speed bump test to give the ride quality on impacts at around 25 miles per hour. I do have the vehicle set in comfort mode, but with these high tire pressures, I think we're going to hear some slight banging noises. Bump number 1. lot of noise from the tires, but didn't feel much. Again, a lot of noise. And here comes the big nasty one. In the past, I've run about 260 vehicles over those speed bumps, and this is definitely the loudest noise I've ever heard. But again, high tire pressures. The suspension did a great job of absorbing the impacts, and we got a very solid body structure. So it's really not an issue. Besides, I like the crisp handling, and that's why we have the high tire pressures for anyway, right? And if you want to monitor your tire pressures, all you do is press the magic button. Comes right up. And the high temperatures have caused the pressure to expand a little bit, but not much. I've been driving this for 4 days. My city miles per gallon has been around 15, and my mixed commuting has been around 19 mpg. A bit lower than the EP estimates, of course. This might be a combination of the 100-degree weather and my lead foot. Fortunately, today it's not very hot, around 80 degrees, thanks to the rain. So we're going to reprogram the trip computer and take a highway test and see if we can up the fuel economy figures. There's a lot more driving coming up, so don't go away. We're going to take a highway trip averaging around 70 miles per hour, and we'll see what the fuel economy readings are. This is a reasonable, quiet, and comfortable vehicle for taking highway trips, especially on smooth pavement, but on rough pavement, you get a lot of rumbling noises from the tires because of the high pressures required. We're coming to the end of our trip. We're going to pull over and see what our fuel economy reading is. So here we go. Just under 70 miles, 22.1 mpg. We were going slightly uphill, 1,500 feet in elevation. We have more fuel economy tests coming up later on in the video. If you watch my videos, you know what's coming up next. Where's my buddy? There he is. Tommy the Toad. They grow them big out here. Well, time to get back on the road. As I said earlier, this vehicle does have the ability to go off-roading thanks to the high ground clearance and the four-wheel drive traction. So we did a bit. But again, without a spare tire, you don't want to go too far out of town. You get a flat, you might have an issue. This is why SUVs have high ground clearance. Well, time to get back on the pavement and do some more driving. We're going to take a break from our fuel economy driving and instead do some performance driving. Wind this engine in 10 speed out and put it in the sport mode. This engine does like to rev, and in the sport mode this transmission does like to shift. Even though this is an SUV, it offers the performance of a sports sedan. The engine loves to whine and the vehicle likes to take corners. If you're in a hurry, this is the one to get. This is why you want high tire pressures when you're going around curves like this. Pays off. So maybe that 36 pounds of air they want isn't such a bad idea after all. Great stability at high speeds and corners. These roads are still slightly wet from the rain we've been having. This is where the all-wheel drive traction comes in. And the quick steering certainly helps as well. This 10-speed gearbox is definitely the way to go. In sport mode, always finds the right gear. Downshifts when it's supposed to, upshifts when it's supposed to. No complaints from me. Kind of defeats the point of having paddle shifters. You can't shift manually any quicker than the sport mode in automatic. The transmission's just too smart for you. When you're driving on tight mountain curves, you want to keep your eyes on the road, so don't be looking down there. It's not safe. This is a well-engineered engine, really loves to spin. Does a great job of pulling this 2 tons of mass. On the other hand, when you generate the power, the fuel gauge moves about as fast as the vehicle. It's just the price you have to pay when you're having fun with the turbo. We're going to reset the mileage computer, do a return highway trip, slightly downhill, elevation 1,000 feet. See if we can bump up the fuel economy figures. We're at the end of our trip. We're going to pull over and see what the fuel economy reading is. Well, we got 22 mpg going up, 24 mpg coming down. Add them up, divide by 2, 23 mpg official highway mileage. And our driving was done with a temperature range of 72 to 80 degrees. So after 1 week and 400 miles, what's my opinion of this Acura RDX A-SPEC? I can't complain about the performance of this 2-liter turbo and the 10-speed automatic transmission. On the other hand, if you're expecting to get decent fuel economy out of it, you're going to have to keep your foot off the throttle, maybe a bit more than I did. But if you're looking for a compact SUV with the performance of a compact sports sedan, this should be on your shopping list. Certainly worth a look. Here's some links to other sporty SUVs we've tested. Just click and watch. That will include the slightly larger Acura MDX for those interested.